Welcome to A Matter of Perspective with Judge Derwin Webb. I am Judge Derwin Webb, coming to you from the Fraser History Museum. We are honored today to have a Louisville legend on our show today. One of my good friends, my homeboy from Indianapolis, the Honorable Mr. Roger Burkman. Mr. Burkman, welcome to our show.
Gosh, Fred, I had to pay him a lot of money to say honorable. Okay, but no, I'm excited about this, Derwin. This is awesome, man. I'm happy to be on with you.
I appreciate you being here. We've been friends for years. Matter of fact, I kind of attribute you to me staying here and being in the city because you were a friend that I met when I first got to the University of Louisville. I worked some of your camps, and you've always been my corner no matter how things were. So I just appreciate who you are and what you do, man. So once again, just thanks for being here today.
Well, Coach, you're part of the family, so that's just how it is. And I've always, really, Judy and I both just love you and your family, and it's just that tie that we have being former players. That's a bond that's there for a lifetime.
And I'm going to talk about that. But, getting down to both of us being here, I know why I came here. You were, like I said before, from Indianapolis, former Indiana All-Star, and could have gone basically anywhere you wanted to go. Tell me why you decided to come to the University of Louisville.
I've been asked that question I don't know how many times over the years, and it's really a neat, the recruiting process, how it all goes. You go to visit and you check out the university and you look at their academic side and you look at what they have to offer. And when I came to Louisville, the first thing Coach Crum did was he took me fishing. And then next thing you know, we were out on the river and we were skiing out on the water. And next thing you know, we're back over to the farm, and he had a farm in southern Indiana, and we went over there and we were riding those little ATV, trail bike type stuff. I don't know who told him I was a big outdoorsman, but or fisherman, but as you all know, he and I have since I finished my playing days, we've been on several fishing trips and hunting trips, and we're
all trips I have not been invited on, but that's another story. But go ahead. We can talk about that later. I'm not bitter. We can talk about that later, though.
Oh, yeah. But so that's really why I chose Louisville, because I was leaning toward Purdue.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny that it goes – we're kind of on the same plateau because I was thinking about Purdue also, and it came down to basically Purdue and Louisville. And I chose Louisville because of how I felt when I came on my visit. Actually committed while I was on the visit because I felt like it was a home environment, and all the guys that made me feel that way were on the team, and more importantly, the people I met in the city, the former players while I was visiting, made me feel like this was a place where I should be.
Yeah, I know you and I both kind of, like I said, had that same experience, and it was just felt right. I mean, Louisville just felt right. Coach Crum, Coach Olson, Coach Houston, Coach Jones, they were just, to this day, still terrific people.
Right.
We're both so blessed to play for people like that, guys like that, because they were great role models and mentors.
Well, I did not mention at the beginning of the show that you are a national champion. On Louisville's first national championship team, 1980. This is it. Tell me, what was it like winning that first national championship for the school? Not only what was it like then, but how do people treat you now, even afterwards?
It's funny because one of the reasons why I chose Louisville is because it did not have an NFL or an NBA market. It was a college town, and that's what I was looking for. And having been blessed to play on a national championship team with a lot of great guys, as you know, all those guys that were just solid citizens that just so competitive and wanted to win. It didn't matter, it was who scored points or who got the rebound or whatever. We were a group that were on a mission, I think, to prove that we could do it, for one thing. Because you look back at that national championship team, we only had two seniors. Now, one of them was obviously one of the best players in the country.
Best player in the world at the time.
Yeah, Daryl Griffith. But we were really young when you see, Wiley and Derek and Scoot, Rodney, Jerry, a lot of young players. And but it changed truly. It was a life-changing experience for all of us and our city. Okay, to this day, we're still recognized in this city. It's really cool. I mean, it's almost like we grew up together. We won that national championship in our hometown,
Right.
Market Square,
Right.
Market Square Arena, and all those people, the fans in this community has embraced that team ever since. It's been a blessing. That's all I can say.
Let me ask you this. I know that obviously you played on the team and you have professional aspirations after that, and you actually got drafted by the Bulls. Tell me what life was. Tell me how basketball was. What basketball was like after you graduated from University of Louisville.
Yeah, I played about not even half a year with Chicago. But the thing about that, what an experience it was to go there, go through the rookie free agent camp, then go to veterans camp. That was 6 weeks of just torture. We were practicing 3 times a day. It was crazy. And to be able to make that team, coming down to the very last cut, was something special. And again, I thank God for that experience. But that environment was so much different from what we experienced here at the University of Louisville. At Louisville, my teammates, we loved each other, man. We cared about each other. We had each other's backs. And to this day, to this day, that was a different world at that level because it was more about me. I played with, and I won't mention any names, but the guys were more about themselves.
I know some of the guys you played with.
Yes. They were about themselves. And so that was a big difference. But it was a good experience. I cherished that time in my life. But coming back to Louisville was just the right thing to do. And I don't know if you knew this or not, but I really considered getting into coaching, at the collegiate level. And Coach Crum, I talked to him about it, and I was a grad assistant for him. And he told me, he said, Roger, it's crazy for you to leave Louisville. He said, you think about how many coaches across the country have the stability that I have here. They're constantly packing their families up every 4 to 5 years, and they're moving to another city. He said, you stay here in Louisville, people know who you are, you're going to be fine. And that was pretty sound advice.
Well, let me ask you this. I know that obviously you played and you decided to make a career change. When did you know that it was time for you to stop playing and hang up the sneakers?
Yeah, again, I think a lot of that had to do with Coach, helping me with that decision. And I'll be honest with you, over the years, about every time I have a major decision like that, whether I've moved from my time at DeSales to Trinity, from Trinity to Spalding University, he's always been somebody I've gone to just talk with and get his advice on. But that was his advice was, Raj, you need to stay here in Louisville. And, basketball isn't, everything. There's other things more important, and obviously he was right. So.
Well, let's talk about the Louisville community now, and let's talk about your transition from athletics into, if you will, athletics. I know DeSales was your first job back here. Talk about DeSales, talk about Trinity, and ultimately talk about how you got to Spalding University.
Yeah, well, actually, my first job when I came back was with Pepsi. I worked with Pepsi Cola here in town, and I worked with them for about 3 or 4 years. And I knew that wasn't what I wanted. I just felt like God he didn't really put me there, to make a career out of that. I think it was when I had the opportunity to go to DeSales, here I have a chance to really have a positive impact on a lot of young people. And so I stayed at DeSales for about 5 years, and I was not their athletic director. I did coach. I helped coach basketball over there, but I was really more on the advancement side and marketing, the school. And then that's when I left there to go to Trinity for the same position. And I still coached. I helped coach basketball for Trinity with Dave Aberle, who's a great guy. We had a lot of good years and a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that, my time at both schools. And then our president at Spalding University is Tori Murden McClure, okay?
Right.
And Tori gave me a call and said, hey, are you interested in becoming our next athletic director here at Spalding? And I was flattered, and I was kind of, I was just kind of shocked by it. But I thought, great, this is a great opportunity. And again, talking to Coach about it, his words to me were, where can you go and literally like start a program, okay, and stamp your name on it and really build something? Because at the time, they had like maybe 4 or 5 sports at Spalding, and 2 of them had a foot in the grave, okay? And so we had to resurrect those programs and build on that. And now we're starting men and women's lacrosse. We'll have 18 intercollegiate programs that we offer at Spalding University, and we just built, $7 million, stadium over here, off 8th Street, between 8th and 9th Street and Breck, that will provide both fields for soccer, men and women's soccer, lacrosse, and softball. So I know I'm just going to keep rambling, Coach. You got to,
No, you're fine. You're
okay.
fine. And I appreciate all the things that you're talking about, because I remember when I first got here and driving by Spalding, there wasn't much there. It was an academic institution, and that was about it. No one talked about athletics at all. But people are starting to talk about athletics as far as Spalding is concerned, and I think that's much of that is attributable to you and all the things that you've done for the program. What is it like day to day for you right now?
Well, we're, in the summer, so it's a little more relaxed. Coaches are getting their vacation time in, but they're running some camps here and there, and we're trying to, just kind of, you always have a couple coaches that might leave or whatever, and you're always replacing them and getting things ready for the fall. So that's kind of what's going on right now.
But I do have a question for you, because I did have Vince Tyre on here at one time, and we talked about what it was like during the pandemic. What was it like during the pandemic for you?
You didn't have to bring that up, did you?
Oh, yes, I have to, because I know what it was like for us at the courthouse. I know what it was like for example, University Athletics, University of Louisville Athletics. What was it like for you guys over at Spalding? I'm going to assume that it was similar, but how did it affect you guys?
Well, it was heartbreaking, okay, to put it mildly, because we had a condensed schedule. We moved all the fall sports to the spring, even basketball. Our first game for basketball was like February the 23rd.
Wow.
Okay. So we had like a 6-week window where we played conference games only. We're going to have a conference tournament. And for example, this gives you an idea of the heartbreak part of it. A week before conference tournament, our men's basketball team, 2 or 3 of our players test positive, shuts the whole program down.
Wow.
And softball, same thing, other than they tested positive. So they missed 2 weeks because you had to quarantine for 14 days. So they missed 2 weeks, and they came out ready for the conference tournament. So they hadn't played in 2 weeks and went right into the conference tournament. We had a good softball team this year. We ended up finishing or runner-up in the conference tournament. Same thing with our women's basketball. Tested positive. They came out 3 days, 4 days before the tournament. So, and as a former basketball player, the conditioning for basketball is different than it is for softball or baseball. And 2 weeks off, you're out of shape again.
Right.
You've got to get back in shape.
Right.
So it was that kind of thing we were dealing with on a regular basis, Coach. It was crazy.
I'm going to fast forward to today. About 2 weeks ago, we received information that the NCAA was finally going to allow kids to profit off of their name, image, and likeness. What is Spalding's role in trying to assist your players in benefiting from that?
Well, we're a different level.
And I understand that.
We're D3.
I understand that.
Okay, so there's not been a lot of that conversation on campus, so to speak. I can see that being an issue at U of L, and I don't know if you saw or not, but I think it was Malik, the quarterback.
Cunningham.
Cunningham, thank you, who came out like that day that said he was going to charge $300 an hour, if you want him to come to your birthday party or something like that. So, you can see those kids at that level, taking advantage of that or that opportunity, and just think, wouldn't it have been great if we'd been able to do something like that when
would
we
have
were
been
playing?
great. Yeah, absolutely.
you know?
I don't know who would want me, but that's
Well,
another story.
I would have. I'd have signed you. No, so but at our level, D3, I don't think that's gonna have much effect on us.
Let me ask you this: what is the typical student that goes to Spalding? If there was a profile of a student athlete that would go to that school, who would it be? Describe that.
It would be a Derwin Webb, it could be a Derwin Webb, or Felton Spencer, or even a Craig Holly, those guys that, or Valerie Owens. I can name a whole lot of former athletes that are friends of mine that are just good quality people. We got really good quality kids that come there for their education. There's no contract that they sign. There's no letter of intent, nothing like that binds them or holds them to that, whatever sport they're playing. So they are there really to get an education. We produce, Spalding University academically is so strong, and like we have a huge nursing program, that our kids are graduating with jobs before they graduate. I mean, I had 3 softball players this year that all are nursing students, and they're great kids. I've talked to them; they've already got jobs lined up, and that's the neat thing about Spalding, because we'll produce a number of nurses and teachers. I mean, it's just amazing the programs that we have. The occupational therapy is very strong. We're starting a PT program that's really going to focus a lot on pediatrics. Okay, so how big is that? I mean, so our thing is we don't have the money to budget toward a marketing program that would really, tell the world about how wonderful Spalding is, and the academic programs that we offer and the opportunities that we have. That's probably one area. But you said, was there something you could do that would help Spalding? What would it be? Well, I'd find, a couple $1 million that we could really promote all the great things happening at Spalding.
Right.
We've got great leadership there. I mean, like I told you, our president, Tori,
Right. Absolutely.
Tori, she's a daggone D3 athlete herself. She played basketball. Oh, yeah, by the way, she also rode across the Atlantic Ocean, okay? But that's the kind of support that we have in athletics, is we got really strong support there that it's kind of neat. So.
Well, I've had an opportunity to speak to a couple of athletic directors, talk to people across the community. Not too many people can say that they actually built something from the ground up. You can actually say that as far as Spalding is concerned. Well, I'm not going to say from the ground up, but you helped get it to where it is right now. It took leaps and bounds. And you were the catalyst in that. My question to you is, where Spalding is today, what is next? What is next for the athletic department?
Yeah, well, to be honest with you, I'm just one of the pieces of the puzzle. I mean, people like yourself, you've helped me. I mean, think of all the people in this community that have helped me over the years at Spalding. We wouldn't be where we are today without that. So I'm just part of that team. Really, no doubt, no question about that. Now, what our vision looks, what my vision looks like. I was
going to say every team needs a coach, and you are that coach of that team. So.
But you got to surround yourself with good people,
right?
And I've been very fortunate having great people around me.
Right.
And I mean, I really would love to see us, get our lacrosse teams up and going. Obviously, there's other things on campus. That's the other thing about Spalding and President McClure and the others, the vision, our board of trustees is just fantastic. There's a lot of good people on our board that see a vision of Spalding, growing. You look at the footprint has doubled in size,
Absolutely.
tripled in size.
I've seen that.
Okay, and so I see us athletically offering, 20 to 22 sports in the next 5 years, having that. I see us looking at building a new basketball arena. Okay, you've been in our basketball gym, and it's a great old gym. I love playing in those gyms, but we need a new one, and we need a second one as we grow, okay, and expand. So that's probably what we're looking at. Adding tennis would be one thing, also men and women's tennis. So, yeah, there's definitely some strategic plans in place.
Okay. Let me transition a little bit. And you've talked about your relationship with Coach Crum a lot. I know that you guys have a special relationship. I kind of jab you here and there, talk about you having a room at his place. Talk about your relationship with Coach Crum and how things have evolved, not only from you being a student athlete, but after you stopped playing basketball.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, we hit it off from the beginning, I think, again, because of the outside of basketball interests, the hunting, the fishing thing, being outdoors. And he used to tease me. You know how when we would travel, sometimes he wouldn't travel with us. He'd already be gone. Mm-hmm. That's because he's fishing.
Right.
We're going to play Florida State. He's there a day or two before because he's fishing, private lakes and stuff. And then, of course, he's bragging about the fish that he's caught when I show up, okay, when the team shows up. So I think that kind of got us going. And then once I, kind of got settled, Judy and I get married, that kind of thing. And all of a sudden, Coach and I are able to start taking these trips, where we, would go to Del Hollow Lake and smallmouth fish, or we're going down to Paducah, down to Ballard County and duck hunt, Kentucky Lake. I mean, we've been to Mexico. We've had a chance to definitely do some travel, and man, it's been great. I mean, as you all know, my kids very well, mm-hmm. okay, and they look up to him as like a grandfather, mm-hmm. So yeah, we've always been close, and everybody knows that. So a lot of times I get a lot calls or email, or I talk to somebody. They always say, "Well, how Coach is want to know how Coach is doing." And in fact, I had dinner with him last week, mm-hmm. and we had dinner, and he wasn't feeling well. Okay, mm-hmm. And I could tell that, and I called Susan that evening, right. And I said, "Just wanted to let you know, Coach isn't feeling well." And, so, because what they did, yesterday they left for their trip to Africa.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I knew they were talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know they actually did it. So, okay. Well,
I
good
know.
for him. Good for him.
Yeah. 84 years young.
Let me ask you this. What's the best advice he's ever given you?
The best advice?
Yeah.
Gosh, man, that's a good question, because, I mean, like I said, I've gone to him any kind of major decision. Mm-hmm. I've talked to Coach about that. Mm-hmm. And I think probably would be the fact that to stay in Louisville, Roger, and not go out of state to try to find a job, like coaching job or something, Mm-hmm. And I tell you a prime example of that, if you don't mind me saying, is Jerry Eves, one of my teammates from our 80 championship team. Jerry took that route. Mm-hmm. Have you ever talked to him about?
I have. I have.
He packed his family up 5 different times over a 20-year span and moved them to a different city.
Right.
Now, can you see my wife doing that?
No. I can see you doing that, but by yourself.
I want to be single. That's what you're saying. I'd be single. Yeah. So.
Well, let me ask you this, and I'm going to wrap up a few questions. I have some rapid-fire questions I'm going to ask you in a second. But your son, great basketball player. I think that in doing my research, I have found that you are the only father-son tandem that have played in the Indiana and Kentucky All-Star game.
Not true.
It's not true?
No, it's not.
Okay.
Yeah, because
You really busted me on air right now. But,
Oh, I don't mean to do that to all your listeners. I mean, but, it's funny because I just did a show with KET. A friend of mine is Chad Miles, and he does the Kentucky Field.
Okay.
And during that show, he mentioned, he's introduced me as Roger Burkman, and the AD at Spalding University, was the former AD at DeSales and Trinity High School or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't say anything at the time, but I should have. I just kind of thought, well, we'll edit that out.
Right.
And it didn't get edited out.
And someone said something to you about it.
Well, I don't think really anybody said that much to me. It was like, but I felt bad that I didn't at the moment say, hey, Chad, look, I wasn't the AD over Trinity, man.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to let you know, I didn't play on the Indiana All-Star team.
Okay, someone told me that you did. Okay. I apologize.
Now, well, it kind of came down. It was kind of funny because there was a guy that was a senior my year who got hurt after 6 games, and his name's escaping me. But he signed to play at Indiana, and they picked him.
Did he win a national championship?
No, but
all right,
no,
then.
no, but I mean, he only played in 6 high school games his senior year, but he'd already committed to IU, and he went there, and he made the All-Star team, and they took me off the All-Star team.
I apologize.
Oh, that's no big deal. It was fine. It worked out just fine. But yes, Lucas had a chance to play on the Kentucky All-Stars. Great experience for him.
And I was going to ask you, how was that experience for you, being a basketball dad, to see your son reach that kind of level?
Yeah, it was really cool. To go up to Indy with him. And at the time, my brother, who's deceased, unfortunately, he would buy 8 tickets every year to the Indiana Kentucky All-Star game. So he had 8 seats every year, and it was fun to go up when Lucas was on the team and be a part of that. He was so proud, and it was just a great family, as you can imagine, a great family outing.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to close this out with some rapid fire questions, and I'm going to ask you a few questions, and just tell me the first thing that comes to your mind. Best player you've ever played with, and best player you ever played against.
Well, Griff was the best player I ever played with. That goes without a doubt. And I've always said this, the best player I ever played against or guarded was a guy named Sidney Moncrief, who beat the holy heck out of me in the tournament one year when I was trying to guard him and fouled me out of the game. So.
Okay. If you had a theme song, what would it be and why?
This is it.
Okay,
Make no mistake. Oh, I'm not
Yeah.
supposed to sing, probably.
Well, no, it's fine. But,
Yeah.
if you want to stop me, I'm fine with that, too. What is your biggest fear?
Biggest fear, failure.
If someone was to describe you in 3 adjectives, what would it be?
Handsome.
Modest.
Oh, yes. Humble. How about that?
If you could meet anyone living or dead, who would it be and why?
Christ, obviously.
Last question. What do you want to be known for?
Being
And you can elaborate on this one.
Okay, good, because that'd be tough just to say one word. No, I think being, a good person, a good role model, because I really believe that's where God has put me at Spalding, to be a good role model, okay, for these kids that we have that come to Spalding, and someone they can count on, and like you, person with good character, okay, so, and a godly man, and a believer.
Well, Roger, I will tell you this. I want to thank you for being here. And one of the reasons why I wanted you on here was because being around you is how I wanted to be. When I first met you, you were kind of like a mentor. After a while, you became a friend. Now you're kind of like my boy right now. So it's one of those things that is our relationship has evolved. We came from the same place, played for the same team, same values, same family values as well. So, man, I just want to thank you for being on the show. I want to thank you for being a vital part of my life, because without you, I don't know how I would have been able to make it, especially in the early years at U of L.
Well, thanks, buddy. You obviously are special to us as well, and it's been a blessing. having you as a friend over the years, and I'm there for you anytime you need me. Count on me. See, I can come down here and do this. I wouldn't do it over the phone.
And I'm looking forward to going fishing sometime soon as well.
Fred, you ought to see him last time I took him fishing. Okay? It was,
We'll talk about that later. Anyway,
okay.
and Roger, I want to thank you for being here. And like I always like to tell people, it doesn't matter what you say, it doesn't matter what I think, but at the end of the day, it's all a matter of perspective. Thank you very much.